Hello everyone and welcome to Solshow, and today we're reviewing the second book in the Magnus and the Gods of Asgard series, and this is the Hammer of Thor. And for people who don't know anything I just said, Magnus Chase is a series within the Rick Riordan, Percy Jackson universe. It's based off Norse mythology, whereas the primary mythology in that series is like Greek and Roman. So this is like a divergent side series, I guess you could say, with a lot of the old characters from the original series coming back. If you want to really go into what this is all about, I have a review of the first book, The Sword of Summer, and you can find that on this channel also. But this book right here, The Hammer of Thor. The idea for this book was Thor, who was introduced in the last book. He has lost his giant ass fucking hammer that he watches all his favorite shows on and doesn't do a goddamn thing really. And that's a big deal. And the whole point of the book is them trying to get this hammer back while also trying to make sure Loki, the god of mischief, who is, chained up, I assume you know who Loki is, they're trying to make sure he doesn't get loose, which he's doing a very goddamn good job at getting loose. It's like watching dominoes fall like before your eyes, and your hands are tied, and you're just like trying to stop that shit. But yeah, I liked the book. I thought it wasn't as good as the first one, but I very much enjoyed it. But that being said, I think a big part of, because this book I've been reading since it came out, and that was months ago. Like, Rick Riordan is already publishing a new book since I started, reading this. Look at my little card, my little bookmark. And so this man is literally writing this shit faster than I can read it at this point. Just because you guys know how fucking like deep I am within all of these mediums and all this shit. So I don't get a lot of time to read, and so I get to read like a couple 500-page books a year, and he just happens to make a couple 500-page books a year. So I'm just like, well, all I fucking read is you, I guess, Rick. But I think a big plus for this book was the character Alex, who is Sam's sister, who was introduced. Also brother. We're gonna get into spoilers a little bit, but for a first impression, just know that my favorite character was introduced within this series. Probably one of my favorite characters in this whole universe. I love this character. On top of that, we get a lot of Hearst. I don't know how to actually pronounce his name. I'm just gonna call him the Deaf H-Man elf. He got a lot of character development. A lot of the characters really, unlike the Heroes of Olympus, they're not just sitting there stagnant for possibly a whole book. They actually all get time and development. It falls through a lot of the same loops that the Heroes of Olympus had, which was just the characters move around so much, and there's so many names and characters and gods trying to be thrown into every single book, and every chapter trying to be as big as it can be, and like the whole like world is on the line in every single book. So after a while, it just gets tiring, and you like start to just white noise a lot of what's going on. And I think that's when I started really falling out with halfway through the book. But it kept winning me back. I love these characters. Magnus is probably the second best main protagonist behind Percy. All the charm is still there, and I think the villains still fucking suck. We're going through the same villains that we had in Heroes of Olympus, which are just dumb ass fucking giants who like can destroy anything, but we defeat them because they're idiots. And humor, so it's the same fucking shit there. But Loki, who is also kind of the main villain and shows up every once in a while, he's great. I love him. He's such a like I love these manipulating characters who will just smile at you and bullshit you as they're talking with you. both characters know that Loki is fucking them over at some point, but they have to accept that that's happening. I love that. And getting first impression out of the way, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. It was a very good book. It lost my interest for a long time, and then I just wasn't reading, so that was a big problem. But I think, those books, like, there are other Rick Riordan books where I'm, still stressed and I can't read as much, but the other books still, drag me in. If anything, those, like, make me want to read more, whereas this book didn't. I think Rick Riordan's writing has just become really stagnant for kind of years now, but I don't think this is the book where this hinders the most out of that. If anything, this side series has given him more inspiration and drive than I think the final book in the Heroes of Olympus did. I'm never going to get over that. But carrying on from that point, we're going to get into spoilers. Alex. I fucking love Alex. She, I'm going to call her she because she likes being she in front of Magnus, because I'm completely pulling for that relationship. They're an amazing romance. I don't care if it's technically like weird and doesn't make sense, and I don't even know like what's going on with Alex's private parts, but I don't really care. They're so fucking cute together, and they're so fucking interesting. It's a romance like, oh, that is actually challenging, and on top of that, they have great chemistry, and they're both kind of these like punk, like homeless people who like are just used to getting like picked on by like authority figures. So I love their relationship and dynamic. I love that I'm forgetting his name, I don't know why, but the guy who is standing guard at the bridges of Asgard, I thought he was really funny. I love the fact that he's like Thor, he's like interested in like the smallest little details in life, whereas he's a god and he should be worried about, top priority shit. Odin's like that too. Like, they're all just like these big gods who like give only care about like these tiny little things that don't even matter. Whereas like the demigods have to actually like save the world and shit. I think that's great. Loki's still great. Despite like, why would Magnus even like just bring a different weapon? Like, don't bring the Sword of Summer. Like, they like too easily fell in that trap, and they even kind of say it, but it was ridiculous that they saw this plan coming a mile ahead, they knew everything going on with it, and they still just ran in head first, and Loki got away. And I know that has to happen for plot, but it's like, it's just don't go through like 400 pages of this, and like we know everything that's gonna happen. And then Loki just gets away, and that was kind of infuriating. But as far as the big epic fight that happened at the end of the book, I actually knew everything that was going on, which didn't happen in Blood of Olympus. Everything, made sense. Everyone was doing something. It was like an actual, will the reinforcements make it in time? We're actually really outmatched here. Like, kind of scary stuff going on. I really like that. I also like how when Magnus is out of, his little hotel, Valhalla, I can't pronounce anything in this book. That's why there's a glossary in the back. The reason I like that is because, like, he can die again. And, part of that is, like, well, he's almost dying to delay the end of the world, in which he will die inevitably. But, which I love the fact that all these characters are just like cool with the fact that they're gonna die eventually, and some are like, hell yeah, finally. The scenery is still great. I love Boston. I love Valhalla. I love Alex's room. I love how she's a giant walking metaphor for clay, and everything about her is still amazing. She's a shapeshifter. She embraces Loki so she can fight Loki. Everything about, I could write a whole fucking essay about how amazing Alex is. I loved every second she was on screen, on paper. Other characters, Hearth with his dad, Oh my god, that was like probably one of the strongest imagery in this book was Hertha's dad walking around a party just kicking people in the face. I don't know why, like, I just like completely, so some parts of a book you just vivid like the whole thing, and I just envisioned this tall ass dude just kicking people in the face. I love that whole thing. I love Hearth as a character. I completely understand everything about him now. It was pretty much Blitzen, like he had his family backstory in the last book, and now we got his. I like that Sam's boyfriend is now kind of in the loop, and all that was done good. All the like everything that needs to get done within this book happens. It's very formulaic, but also works perfectly. I think the only really down point is whenever the villains are on screen. I really don't like how often we shift places. I don't like, how a bunch of the lines are just dialogue. It's just dialogue down the whole thing, and like I don't even know what's happening a lot of the time. Like sometimes I'll just pick up the book and be halfway in a chapter, and I'm just like, what did I miss? Like, how the hell did we get here? It's just like, we'll be introduced to like Thor's wife, and there's like a couple paragraphs like, this is Thor's wife. And then it's like, then by the end of the book, you gotta be like, oh yeah, Thor's wife, she's a big deal, she's gonna be brought up in dialogue, this is why she's important. I don't care for that. And she obviously, that was probably a bad example because Thor's wife had more character than a lot of the other gods. And then there's like, oh, this guy has a big shoe, he's the god of revenge, like, know your shit, and he's probably gonna be brought up in the next book, and you're supposed to remember him. Like, what the fuck? No. But I still like all the Valhalla, like not cabin mates, but hallway mates. They're still all great. They just need a little bit more character. And then there's a big cliffhanger which says, they kind of just go into they basically downright are just like breaking apart like why the Rick Riordan's mythical universe doesn't make sense. Like, how can there be like a Greek underwater god of the whole ocean, and there's also a North god of the entire ocean? Like, they just take shifts on who controls the ocean. I don't know if there's like dimensions going on. I don't know. But they had that conversation. It's finally kind of brought up. And they say Magnus is going to meet Percy, who will probably be in the next book. I don't know how many books are in this series. I don't know if it's 3. I don't know if it's 5. I have no goddamn idea. But the Ship of the Dead, Loki is going to try to bring down Ragnarok and destroy the world and get his revenge. Randolph. Oh my god, I'm pretty sure he's dead. I'm not completely sure. If so, that was, God, like, his beginning to his end was like a complete martyr character. But at the same time, like, you saw him betraying the hero, and our hero cut his fingers off. He's obviously a bad guy, like Randolph. Like, even from the beginning, he was kind of shady and didn't have good motivation. But you completely understand where he's coming from. So that's why, in the end battle, I was like, Magnus, just stab this guy, and it's all gonna work out. Like, just stab your uncle, and you're gonna be okay. But that doesn't happen. He gets Loki free, and who knows what happens to him after that. He kind of just got destroyed by the sexy blade that can't be revealed to women, or whatever it was. Like, stuff like the items kind of piss me off because I never understand it. But I think that's everything. I can't believe I actually was able to get everything I wanted to say. I'll probably forget something in a minute here, but that's my thoughts on the Hammer of Thor. I'm glad Thor got his hammer back. I think the beginning, I always enjoy the beginnings of these books because it's always like when the characters are like goofing off, and like the whole Odin's goat thing in a trench coat. I thought that was one of the funniest things in this entire universe. I love how they're just so willing to die. Like, they die every day. It's cool. It's whatever. But I'm getting on a tangent again. That is my thoughts on the Hammer of Thor. I am so excited for the next Trials of Paula book, the next book in this series, and I'm going to try to read something that's not Rick Riordan for a change. I don't know what that is yet, but I'm very excited, and hopefully I'll have a review for that out too. Thank you so much for watching, as always, guys, and tell me your thoughts on the Hammer of Thor down below, and with that,